Hello and welcome to Ageless Rock Channel. Turkey is such a fascinating country with so many ancient sites created out of bedrock. You have to wonder why every one of them has no real history. In Artukluk district of Mardin province, there is an ancient city known as Dara Ancient City. It is relatively unknown to the outside world. In the southern side of East Turkey, there is an ancient village called Dara with a small Kurdish population of about 1,000 inhabitants. However, back in the early part of history, many things happened since the 6th century. Dara is said to be the Roman capital of Mesopotamia. Its name came from the Persian king Darius I. From the satellite view, Dara village looks like a small, uninteresting village. But if you pay attention to the edgy slopes, you will notice something is wrong with the picture. Someone reshaped the bedrock in such a grand scale, it cannot be a distant memory with only assumptions. But yet no one seems to be able to provide a clear story of what happened here as far as construction is concerned. A close-up view of a section, which is the starting point of your tour, shows that a huge amount of bedrock was removed. It is said that it was a quarry where a lot of stone blocks were carried to nearby areas for construction. But if you look at what is left behind, you don't get a feeling that it was a quarry. There are many caves and tunnels cut into the bedrock. I wonder if it was human nature to make use of quarry as a residential place. This site was excavated in 1986 by Mardin Museum, and the findings are the typical version of fort and funerary scenario. When you are at this site, you will be too amazed by the magnitude of the project, you will forget to wonder if this is something humans would do. It was basically leveled vertically and horizontally, and you will be the size of the blue dot for comparison. The fact that the cliff was cut at an angle shows that there is something very strange about this site. Look at the jagged edges of the cliff created simply by removing the bedrock. It looks very random and disorganized. It looks like it was done by anyone who wants many blocks of stones and they can just start cutting anywhere they like. Was it a project by the government ordered by a king or emperor to do such thing? You can say many stones were quarried from here, but the amount of bedrock removed to construct buildings nearby will surpass the need even if you include towns and villages nearby. When did inhabitants decide to stop quarrying and turn it into creepy tunnels and chambers for residential purpose is debatable. According to archaeologists, these rectangular holes on the ground are tombs, and this area at the bottom right is also known as necropolis. That adds more questions than answers. Archaeologists say the high cliffs were once fortification walls. That is strange design because dwellers live in front of the wall instead of the back. Now you have a quarry with dwellers as front line in the battle, and the dead were buried randomly in the bedrock. Well, according to archaeologists, the high cliffs were once fortification walls after being quarried. The tombs were made here for easy access of families to visit the dead relatives. This site has been determined as remnants of a Roman Empire, and therefore it was an ancient Roman funerary monument. These rectangular holes are very narrow in proportion to its width. They seem random in length, width, and depth. It is a hole cut out of the bedrock, and slabs were leaned on the side to have a raised structure. But if they constructed great buildings with good quality stone masonry, how come the slabs were formed crudely? This necropolis on the western side of the ancient city is said to have rock-cut tombs, simple earth tombs, chamber tombs, and sarcophagi. There are 216 individuals said to be from the Roman period. The breakdown consists of 27 women, 74 men, 2 adolescents, 32 children, 6 infants, and 76 were not identified. There are 3 types of tombs here. The rock-cut tombs are said to be of 6th century AD. The sarcophagi are between 6th and 8th century, while the schist tomb where slabs were placed on the side are between 8th and 14th century. It is not a surprise to me that these were used as tombs at one time, and skeletal remains were found in some of them. It is a very normal thing to do when people see that it was neither a private nor public property. Then you can do whatever you want. But what remains clear to me is that they are suspiciously too narrow to be made that way for burial. This offers a new look into megalithic sites where a quarry turned into a dwelling place. Then, the thriving population started burying the dead randomly in bedrock tombs which are random in size. This is definitely a new concept for me. We are looking at a fort for paddle, residential caves, and necropolis. This type of open tombs on the ground reminds me of those at Moreira de Rei in Portugal. There are hundreds of rock-cut tombs on the ground. Many had semicircles on one end which made it look like they were made for the head. Some are trapezoidal and some are rectangular. Some are ridiculously shallow while some are too small to fit a baby. Several holes have skeletal remains, but I doubt they cut out the bedrock but rather use it because it was already there. The similar concept of bedrock cutout that looks like tombs can be found in Egypt. They are somewhat similar to those 36 tombs at Damietta in Egypt. This is a very odd necropolis because if you zoom in and see closely, you can tell that there isn't many you can use. For those who find that necropolis of Dara ancient city was too crowded, you can go further away from the crowd where the soul not only can rest in peace but also be at peace with farmers and nature. At Dara ancient city, I can see 2 columns of vertical holes. This is a clear signature of the unknown ancient builders were here first. The facade on the top looks like an unfinished project, but there is no chisel mark and the relief is more like the product of rock melting technology. This is exactly the same as those you can find at Petra in Jordan, where the grand monument known as the Treasury or Al-Khazana has the tool marks. It will be insane to assume that anyone would make such a nice facade only to deface it with ridiculous holes from top to bottom. The tool mark is also found going horizontally. The entire architecture is simply not of human nature to me. The way the entire thing was done is clearly by an unknown civilization which is ancient in time but advanced in technology. In India, there is a similar concept of horizontal holes in front of Jogeshwari cave temple cut out into the bedrock. We used to explain them as rock splitting technique, but this is on the side and cannot be explained as far as function is concerned. In China, there is a cave with similar row of gear track marks in front of Mogao grottos. So what are the odds that China, India and Turkey have the same concept of leaving tool marks in front of bedrock cave entrances? The one who did this must have had an international bedrock removal business. This site has been excavated since 39 years ago, and about 10,000 artifacts such as arrowheads, lamps, glass, a church, a palace, a prison, an armory, and an ancient reservoir are all for us to see. But what we see produces many versions of history. A magnificent cutout seems like something totally out of place in human ability, but yet it is perfectly normal to some. A remnant like this is clearly the work of an unknown ancient civilization to some, but yet it is perfectly normal to mainstream archaeologists. While they seem completely lacking in common sense that is not of human architecture, they see those who comes up with other possibilities as complete absurdity. Dara Ancient City is a very ancient site and offers many things to see, but the most interesting section is the bedrock dwellers of the sites that looks like a quarry with rock-cut tombs. They all look so out of this world to those with megalithic lands, but yet perfectly normal to those without the megalithic lands. At Dara Ancient City, there are several cisterns and very impressive water collection and distribution system. It is so awesome that those with megalithic lands will immediately doubt it has anything to do with human history. It is the typical very hard to do for a benefit that doesn't fit the scale of the project because there are other easier alternatives. There are very impressive monuments here such as church cistern and baptism basin, which seems like the result of a later civilization that built on existing megalithic structures. I am fully aware of the Roman masonry prowess, but sometimes when things are off the chart, you have to wonder why anyone would go to this extent when there are easier alternatives. Everyone praises the ancient Roman engineering technology for their over-the-top masonry projects for water, but I have doubts about the clean water project here. The nice rectangular holes in a nice straight line prove that the unknown ancient builders were here first. Here at Dara Ancient City, the Great Church and St. Bartholomew Church are considered the important churches. According to the historian Theodora Lecter, St. Bartholomew appeared in a dream of Emperor Anastasius I and asked him to protect the city. In return, Anastasius had the relics of St. Bartholomew carried from Cyprus to Dara. Until the 14th century, this cathedral was the center of Assyrian metropolite. So the next time you visit Dara Ancient City, just bring along a good sleeping bag. In case there are no more hotel rooms available, don't be in despair. There will always be plenty of chambers you can use for free. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation on Dara Ancient City, where there is a modern village you can see, but the ancient village requires imagination. See you in the next video and have a wonderful day. This is Berniong signing out. Sonra, Guru Surus, Gule Gule.